What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Game Time Podcast. I am Isaiah Hoffman, along with my co-host Daryl. We are coming at you. I just got off work, so I'm ready to go. I got my stuff together before we got this set up. We're gonna talk some free agency. We talked about the draft last week. We went over our winners and losers, but free agency has been more eventful than I think we kind of all anticipated, especially because there's not a lot of star players in free agency now. A lot of them take the money that they get from their teams, or they get traded before they can even get to that point. So it's cool that we got this free agency that had a lot of questions, had a lot of rumors behind it. It all kind of kicked off with Kevin Durant getting traded, but when you get into the heart of free agency, we're obviously going to talk about Myles Turner today. We're obviously going to talk about DeAndre Ayton as well, but I want to give it over to my co-host of the pod, Daryl. What are your thoughts overall about free agency? We've kind of gotten down to the end of it. We're still waiting on a decision from Chris Paul. I think that's probably the other more notable player we're waiting on. I think Wagner we're also waiting on as well. But other than that, the big dominoes have fell. Ayton's cleared the waivers and stuff like that. I think Russell Westbrook's another name we're still waiting on as well. We'll see what contending team he will eventually sign with as well. But your overall thoughts on free agency, whether that's your biggest winner, biggest loser, or just overall?
Well, I think the players as a whole are the biggest losers because with this collective bargaining platform that they're working on right now, it's the haves and the have-nots. And the reason why I say this is because you got some guys that are out there that are making high-end, top-end money, and you got some really, really good players that are taking that middle piece, that 11, 12, 13, $15 million a year deal. And I just think that when the next collective bargaining agreement comes up, they've got to talk about balancing this act. I think the owners and the players both kind of stuck themselves because you're in the situation now where you've got teams that can't continue to hold their water because of players that they've got signed these big deals, and this luxury tax, i.e., the salary cap, has put some teams in some tough spots, making really, really tough decisions. And I say that to segue into the Myles Turner situation, right?
Yeah.
There's talk of what was offered. Mark Boyle had mentioned, I think,
Oh,
three at 75, for 3 years at 75 at $25 million average. The talk was Turner wanted in that 28, 29
I saw
range.
I saw 3 years 60.
Well, I understand. Again, we don't. It's no absolute. I saw 3 years and 75, right? So either way of that, right? So as we talked about, if it was 3 years and 60, that was a slap in the face. If it's 3 years and 75, that was a low ball. He think about this. He only left Indiana for $2.5 million extra a year. That was because I believe that he says, if you're gonna try and lowball me, I'm gonna leave. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think they could have made an agreement if you're talking about just a couple of $1 million. I'm not saying it was. I'm not acting as though a couple $1 million is nothing. But in the case of a guy who's been with the team for 10 years, he's given his blood, sweat, and tears. You would think that they would be able to come to a middle ground.
I
However,
think,
they didn't. However, they didn't, and
yeah.
it is what it is. You get over that. But at the end of the day, I just think that a lot of these guys wanted to stay with their teams, but they just couldn't.
I think a lot of people, I'm going to use the word bitter because it really makes me not mad. I just kind of look at people. I'm like, okay, that's just taking the easy way out of things, right? I hate when people are like, because I explained to someone why the Pacers didn't get Turner, and I got told, and I was like, because he wasn't getting a pay raise, right? He was going to make the same amount of money, basically. Da 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 da. And they're like, oh, you mean the millions they're already making? I'm like, okay. I mean, yeah, obviously, it's obviously right. I like if you ask me right now, yeah, I'd play for a team for $1 million. Like, yeah, obviously, but it's like
Right,
in
because
the
that's your market. That's
in
a
the
what
in
a
the
ten
context of
thousand
the
percent
NBA,
increase in your salary,
in
right?
the context of the NBA, it's like anybody's job. This is their job. It's like any other person's job. It's like being if I'm the longest tenured worker at the factory, UPS. If I'm the longest tenured worker and I see this guy that's only been in the league or in this job for 5 years get a raise and I get 10 years and we're the same caliber of worker or maybe I'm slightly better, you're gonna be offended, right? Or if they come back to you and say, "Oh well, we're gonna give you less money, even though you've been here the longest, you've been through a lot of stuff. We're gonna give you less amount of money." I just people can bring up the argument of, well, they're already making millions, and I go back to this.
That's not an argument because
And
the
it's
market
not,
says it's different. So it's not an argument. That's
and
because
that's what I
those
said. I'm
people
like, it's a
can't relate to
market
that.
thing.
Right. I can't relate to that type of money either, but I understand the dynamic, right? And
Yes.
they say, well, they don't deserve that money. Guess what? That money's coming in. Money is coming in hand over fist, and the league is more profitable than it's ever been.
Hmm.
Those players deserve that money because people watch, they
Because of
listen,
them.
and they go to games because of players.
And, and
No
and
owner has ever been looked at and said, "Oh, I can't wait to go watch that guy own the team."
and to even just to get on anyone that says, "Oh, these guys love that." No, we have criticized the NBA on multiple accounts. You know, because we've gained like 5 subscribers in the last week. I don't know if you realize, but so to anyone that thinks we just adore the NBA, no, we have our
No,
criticisms. But I
well,
agree with
well, we're
I
balanced.
agree
You got
I
balance
agree
about it,
with
right?
you. I agree with you in that statement. But I think a lot of people this week do not understand because that's all I've heard is, well, he could have took a pay cut. He could have taken a pay cut. No one in the league, and I said, and
Listen,
Damian Lillard is a great example. Nobody in this league should take a pay cut when you can just be cut out of nowhere. You never, when people
but
say, I don't get it. The same people that will say, take your money before you get injured are the same people that'll get mad when that player does not take a pay cut.
they call that playing both sides of the fence, right? You got to get on one side and stay
Yep.
on it. Damian
Yes.
Lillard is in a league where there are guaranteed contracts, right?
Hmm.
That's what they collectively bargained. That's what the union has worked on, and
Yep.
that hard work based off of those players that came before these guys. That's the fruits of that labor.
Yes.
Damian Lillard deserves every penny that Milwaukee pays him while he's not playing for them.
Yeah.
Every cent. Why? Because they chose to sign him with that. He made it not crystal clear, but it was pretty evident that he wasn't happy about coming to Milwaukee anyway.
He just
So
was there.
you
He
you
was there
bring
for one. He was there for one player. That was
yeah,
it.
you bring him in, so you deal with those consequences, right? So you got to pay this guy 22.5 million a year for the next 5 years. So be it. That's the other part of that, right?
Hmm.
Some would say the owners got stuck on that. Well, they signed him,
Yeah.
and they collectively bargained a guaranteed contract.
And then I want to talk about, let's go to the other side of this coin. The Lakers got DeAndre Ayton. I had my stepdad, we both were at Kroger and he came to me. He was like, I'm tired of these big league teams getting all the players. And he was talking about Ayton going to the Lakers. And I'm like, well, I think it was just late. I think it was just late in the process for Indiana to get in the mix, right? And I think for Ayton, I'm sure Ayton at this point is just thinking, okay, Halliburton's out. Luka and LeBron are healthy. I'm gonna go to the Lakers. And I put this on Twitter. My Twitter doesn't get a lot of traction, so I'm gonna say it on here, Daryl. Um, I said it during the draft episode. I don't know if I said it to you. I called you and I was frustrated with what the Lakers are doing, but I don't think I said it in the call. I think when they found out Aiton got waived, I think it completely course corrected how they wanted to go about free agency. I think when he got announced that he was going to be on the waiver wire, I think I think his whole thought process changed on how he was going to go with free agency. I think our free agency would be a lot different. I think we would have been more aggressive. I think the Lakers would have been more aggressive if Aiton wasn't on the free agency market. I think that is what completely changed their offseason. A lot of people were just like, man, do something. Lakers aren't doing nothing. Pelinka is giving up. And there was a report that came out, right? The Lakers are wanting to make a big move in the 2027 offseason because guys like Cat are free agents. Giannis is unrestricted. Jokic is unrestricted. All these guys are unrestricted. So they're trying to save Cap for that. I'm going to get into it though because I don't like that they're doing that either because it goes back to my point. If you're doing that, why bring back a 40-year-old LeBron on a $56 million deal? Because LeBron usually opts out, signs a 3-year deal or 4-year deal to spread that money so they can go out there and acquire people. And Rich Paul, his agent, gave out such a weird statement. We realize the Lakers are focused on Luka or focused on bringing in youth, but LeBron still wants a realistic chance of winning. Then why did you come back here if the motto is, oh, we want to get young guys? Because honestly, I love the idea of getting Cam Whitmore and a Dorian Finney-Smith sign and trade. I love the idea of trading Rui and Austin Reeves for draft picks if you can get Luka to sign an extension. Now, I don't like that we're going to waste 2 prime years of Luka if this is all going to be the case, but it's time we start. It's time we start building around Luka, and that's what we're trying to do. And I can appreciate that, but I can also say you've got LeBron and Luka. You're an idiot if you don't try to win. I know I get it. It's
But
the West is going to be
and let's
difficult.
be realistic here. Pretty much every off season has been the Lakers going to get these top three free agents, right? It's talk about them because the LeBron factor, and I get all of that, right? But at
Mhm.
the end of the day, they re-signed Jackson Hayes on a 1 year deal,
Which we
and they
need to
got
talk about.
they got a malcontent with DeAndre Ayton. What I mean by malcontent was last year. The understanding is it's starting to come out that he was a locker room cancer and didn't want to play.
You know what?
Yeah,
But I saw the report today, and it was like that. I saw that report too, but I saw another report where it was like they appreciated the way he mentored Donovan Clingan and how he helped the youth and stuff like that. So I
but be
saw it.
careful.
So
You
no,
got to
no, no,
say
no,
that.
no.
You got to take the high road. You can't blow the guy out the water because free agents are going to see that. Players are going to see that and say, "I'm not going there." They blew this guy out the water when they came to an agreement to buy him out. You got to be careful with that because so Portland has to say that publicly. They can't say we're glad to get rid of him. But here are the facts. If you buy a player out that is 27 years old and he's a center and he's a 16-10 guy, there's a
there's an
problem.
issue. There is an
There's a
issue.
problem.
I
And
don't deny there's not an
it's not
issue.
just playing. There is a problem, right? So you've got to take the high road and say, well, we did what we could. We appreciate all what he did. You got to say that. So we got to be careful about that. But what I will say is this when it comes to DeAndre Ayton, he has the ability to make it happen.
Yeah.
And maybe playing in the bright lights of LA, with a top three all time great player, a top five current player right now in Luka Doncic. Okay, maybe that'll motivate him because in Portland he didn't have that. In Phoenix the coach kind of jettisoned,
Yeah.
so he hasn't had a place that loved him. Maybe
Yeah.
that's his deal.
And I
I'm
think
saying, no, seriously. Look,
yeah.
listen, I was in Arizona, in Phoenix, he and Monty Williams clashed from day one.
Yeah.
Day one. Chris Paul smashing day one. Then he goes to Portland. Portland, Chauncey Billups was one of the great players that when he played, but it's Portland. And this young man's from Arizona, right?
Yeah.
So maybe he says, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets to LA and he grabs that heart that he had at the University of Arizona and says, you know what? Now I'm ready to go.
I
And
think the big
then you gotta steal. You
and
gotta steal.
this is where all the media comes in and you hear this stuff about him. And I saw some clips today. It's like, how is Aiton going to feel when he doesn't touch the ball 3 times in a row on the offensive side of the ball? How is he going to feel about this? How is he going to feel about that? I'm like, if Aiton felt this way, Aiton would have signed to Indiana or he would have went somewhere else where he knows he's going to get the ball. He has to know coming into this. I've said it. I think with Redick, this offense is not running through LeBron. It's going to run through Luka, and now it's probably going to run through Aiton. Aiton was already really good off the pick and roll with Chris Paul. He was good in Portland. Now you've got I mean, Chris Paul was great off the pick and roll. I'm all credit to Chris Paul, but now you've got a guy that's coming into his prime, whereas Paul was exiting his prime. You've got a guy in Luka who's entering his prime. Reportedly is on a diet, losing weight, but obviously those are reports. It could all.
Let's see what happens in game
Let's
one.
see what happens.
Let's see him in game
Let's see
one.
what happens. So I
Right.
have a lot of confidence in Redick, his coaching, because we did good in the regular season. Playoffs, we talked about it. But regular
It's a
season
complete package. It's a complete
and when it
package.
comes to his basketball mind, I think this team will be fine. I don't think we're winning the West. I'm not that egregious. I don't think a Western Conference Finals appearance is in the books. It could be, depending on how the seeds match up. But I do think a second round appearance is there. But they've got to make some moves. I don't think Pulisic is done.
It's still a matchup deal, and they're still shitty on defense. So we got to
Yes.
call that out as well.
Yeah. That's why I said we got to make some more extra moves. So you got a shitty
team that's in a loaded West, right, on defense. So guys are going to have to play above their heads. DeAndre Ayton is going to have to play on the defensive end like Akeem the Dream did, right? Because they're a big old donut over there right now on the defensive end. You lose your best perimeter defender in Dorian Finney-Smith, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you don't have a real point guard. You got AR-15 who is a mismatch waiting to happen. A great person once said on XM86, he says, "You can hide one, but you
You
can't
can't
hide
hide.
two."
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
right now they've got two that they've got to hide, and that third one is going towards that way. Where's number 23, LeBron James?
And I
So
think
you can hide one, can't hide two, you definitely can't hide three. So we've got to be careful in the excitement of what's going on. But with this said, I think them getting DeAndre Ayton and re-signing Jackson Hayes was a good move.
no,
Absolutely
yeah.
was a
And
good move.
I'm seeing people like, oh, the Lakers panicked and signed Ayton. And like I said, I think they've had till Monday, right? They announced he got waived on Monday. I think it literally became a matter of when Ayton got waived. Not only was this a guy they were probably thinking about trading for, he then gets waived. It's like it probably completely wiped out their thought process of what they were going to do, I assume. Like there's no way that this is just something that was like, well, this is all
What
we
what you
got. We'll
what
get
you
Ayton, you know?
what you don't want to have happen is him turning into Andrew Bynum. So I know we've covered a lot of the Lakers piece, but and I know you weren't around much
No,
at that
I
time when
remember
Andrew
buying
Bynum.
him. Of course I remember buying
So
him.
just understand, we got to take these things with a grain of salt. But as we talk about free agency, talk about what Denver did,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Let's discuss Denver. Now
You know
that's
what?
something that perks me up a little bit.
I think Denver had the best offseason along with, and you're gonna not like me for this. I think the Atlanta Hawks had the one of the best off
No,
seasons in a while.
I like you. I just disagree. It's
That's
still
fine.
Atlanta.
I
It's still
really
the
like
city where careers going to die.
in
So
this
until
in
they
this
until
Eastern
they prove
Conference.
otherwise, we'll see.
In this Eastern Conference, I think the Atlanta Hawks could get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and
Absolutely not.
I
How
think
much are
they
we
could get.
betting? How much are we betting so we can put this out there? Because if they don't have a snowball's chance in hell. There are five teams better than them in the East easily, easily.
They're fifth.
But I said five teams better. That means there's six.
Okay, who's the
I said
five?
six.
Who's the five?
Boston,
Wait,
New
no,
York,
no, immediately
Orlando.
no,
Okay,
immediately
fair enough.
no.
You can say what you want. Boston, like I said, New York,
Yes,
Orlando,
yes,
Cleveland,
yes,
Detroit.
yes.
Hell, that's six right there.
I'm taking Boston out.
Oh,
I take Boston
you
out.
can. They still got the lineage, and guess what? They got their best player out. But Boston didn't bring in a bunch of scrubs.
They got way
I'm telling you,
worse.
they're where they had to. They were a champion the year
No, I
before.
realize. I'm just saying they got
So
way worse.
well, they will be better than Atlanta. Mark the tape.
I
Atlanta
mean,
will at best six. At best six.
record wise, yeah, they may not be as good, but I think if they get to the playoffs, they get the right matchups.
They've got just to talk about hiding one and not hiding two. That point guard they got, he's probably the worst point. Well, yeah, he's worse. He's worse defensively than Donovan Mitchell and Garland.
Yeah, I agree.
By far.
I agree.
By far.
I agree.
Right? And then you bring in Porzingis. He's your savior.
Now that's the question. No. That's the question. That's the question. That's the question that's in line.
Book it. 55 games. Check it.
That's the question in line.
This dude is fragile. He's got and that illness that he had, it still hasn't been spoken about.
What? Never mind.
and no, I'm saying, listen, man, come on. If you're banking on this guy and them bringing in who was it they brought in?
Nickeil Alexander Walker.
Come on, man.
Hey, I like the moves.
That's a lot of hope. That's a lot of hope, I guess. But listen,
I like the moves. That's all I'm saying.
He came in. He's making $15 million a year. That's a mid-level player.
With the East this year, I really think it's a game of who's who.
It's still Atlanta.
I know.
Right?
I know.
And you got the coach
I'm giving him a little too much credit. I admit.
Yeah. You definitely give him too much credit. But again, will they be better this coming year than last year? You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I think Toronto has an opportunity to be better than them. So we can talk Atlanta if you want. But you look at the East, and we can say, well, where are we on the East? Well, I'll tell you what, I would not be opposed or say that Atlanta maybe at best a 6 or 7 seed, at best, because I'm telling you this, they won't be better than the Pacers. We can put that
Record,
on the books as well too.
I think record
Because
wise,
they got better
they could be
players. They
bad.
got better. They got better players.
I think they just have to get in the playoffs. I'm pretty. I think if they get into the playoffs, they can get to the second round. They can get.
book
They can
book
do it.
book your book a playing visit for Atlanta. You can
No, I
maybe
think they get
book
above the
playing.
play-in. I don't think they're in the play-in this year.
So
I
so
do think they get by
so
the
what
play-in.
what we've got to do then, we're gonna have to break it down then because I don't see them being better than 6 in the
Okay.
East.
I could be
I just
completely
don't.
wrong. I'm just trying to be. I'm trying to be
Yeah.
nice. We've all given it a
No,
lot of
we ain't
crap.
here to be nice.
But
We're here
no, no, no,
to
no, no, no.
say,
I like the
there's no
moves that they. I
niceties.
like the moves that they did, though. I'm not like. I like the moves that they did, and
Yeah. Okay,
But
that's nice. You
I.
know what else? I like what Washington Wizards did too. But
The
I'm not
Wizards.
going to tell
Hey,
you. I'm not going to tell you they're going
You
to be
talk
fourth.
about a
They're
team
not going
that
to be
may.
fourth in the East.
They may make the play-in. They may make the play-in. Is that crazy to say?
Listen. There's only 6 teams, top 6, and then there's 4 playing. So that's 10. I think
Okay.
you've named 13 teams.
Atlanta,
Somebody's not going to get.
Atlanta or Toronto?
I'll take Toronto all day long.
Okay,
Twice
that's
on Sunday.
fair. That's honestly
The
fair.
only team
They're
that
even.
I would say has a snowball chance, and you know where with getting anywhere close, Brooklyn Nets, Charlotte Hornets in the East. Those are the only 2 teams in the East right now. Even my hated Miami Heat and also the Milwaukee Bucks. That's probably 3 of the worst teams going to be in the East. Right
Interesting.
there. There's no
let,
way, man.
let's move over to Denver. I'm trying to find the tweet that I had, but I like what Denver did, Daryl.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
they had a stellar offseason. They brought back Bruce Brown, a guy they really like.
And
They
they didn't
traded
tie
for
themselves. They didn't tie themselves to it.
1 year
It's just a
deal.
1 year deal. Also, Tim Hardaway Jr. a 1 year deal, bringing in a guy from Detroit that was in Detroit last year to solidify to help solidify the backcourt. And they're both on the cheap. They're both at 3 million. Bruce is at 3 million, and Hardaway is 3.6. So the bigger deal with what they did, that trade they made, and getting rid of broken down. I'm going to shoot no matter what. And you get a guy coming from Brooklyn that says, you know what? Yeah, I got something to prove,
I mean,
and he's a scorer, and I think he's going to have a lot of open shots in the Rocky Mountains.
Denver they reloaded, right? I mean, they completely reloaded this roster. Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. They completely reloaded it, but I think the biggest negative to them, and I don't know if you saw this, they traded for Jonas Valanciunas, but he's going overseas. He's playing overseas. He's not playing for Denver.
I saw that today.
That's
gotta be some
crazy.
family stuff going on there or something. Which, hey, I support the guy, so be it. But here's the thing. So you got Cam Johnson, Bruce Brown, and Tim Hardaway, and then you exit Michael Porter Jr., Michael Porter Jr., Westbrook, and one other person. I can't remember who it was. So you upgrade right there. You got Cam is 29. Bruce Brown is 29. Hardaway's 33, but he doesn't play like he's 33. So you got a little bit younger. You got a little bit more versatile.
Yeah.
And Bruce Brown coming back to Denver is a good thing, right?
Yes.
It's good for him. He got his money when he came to Indiana. They turned and flipped him, which was still a steal of a trade. And then he's back in Denver where they love him. So it's a win. He's a strong defensive player. He's just not a guy that you want in your starting lineup to have to depend on.
My top 5 in the West, as it stands right now, way too early, is Thunder at 1, Rockets at 2, Spurs at 3, Nuggets at 4, Minnesota at 5, and my honorable mention is Dallas because, Kyrie isn't going to play for a while.
Honorable mention, Dallas?
Honorable mention. So, I mean, there's 6. I just, honorable mention Dallas, there's 6.
You didn't mention the Lakers.
I mean, I have to be realistic. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, they're 5th. No, they're not 5th right now. They lost in the first round to them. I'm not going to do that.
What about the Clippers?
I would say the Lakers are ahead of them. I think they're better I think the Lakers are better overall.
And what way would you say that? Would you say it?
Harden, Kawhi's not going to play. Harden stops playing when he gets to the playoffs. They may have a better record, but if it
what do you mean he's not going to play? Harden's not going to
play well in the playoffs. Harden's had something to prove since 2018 when the Rockets shot 7 of
Listen,
34.
hey,
Yeah,
that
I've
that's
heard it.
that's my troll move right there, man. But with that
Man, I could talk
said
about that.
though,
I could talk about that game for an hour.
but with that but think about this. What about you said San Antonio is 3. You think San Antonio is going to be better than Dallas, better than in all honesty, the Clippers, better than Golden
Yes.
State,
Yes.
better than Denver? Man, that's a stretch,
Well,
man.
Denver's close. If somebody told me I'd take Denver over San Antonio, I wouldn't look at them crazy, but I don't.
Minnesota's getting younger. Their
I
backcourt's going to be better.
if somebody told me Minnesota, I'd probably be like, eh. But I see it. I see a possibility, right? I just think, and I said it. I said it on our draft episode. I said I think the Spurs go to the Western Conference Finals this year. I think Wemby's going to take a
Listen,
crazy.
we got a lot of side bets. We got a lot
I
of
think
side bets to
Wemby
do. You're gonna be
Wemby
my parlay maker this year.
Wemby's going to take a leap. He may win DPOY. I think because he got
Oh well,
hurt.
that's without a
He
doubt he's
got
gonna win
hurt.
it.
He got
That's a
hurt.
given. He's gonna probably block 200 shots this year.
When he get
If he's healthy and he plays all season, I can see him blocking 200 shots this year.
Wemby,
Think about that, 200
yes,
shots.
if the Spurs, they've got the roster. If they will get to the Western Conference Finals, I'm fairly confident they can get to the Western Conference Finals.
If they were in the East, I would say yes.
And even
but as it stands here, it's possible. I'm not saying it's not possible.
The West has been so different every year. That's why I'm like, give me San Antonio. They're going to be the newer team in the playoffs. It'll be something that Denver hasn't seen, the Thunder haven't seen. Like it'll be a bit different. I think they can sneak up on people and win this West. I'm not saying they win in the Western Conference
they're
Finals,
young.
but I
they're
think
young.
they get
I'll
there.
give you that. They're young. I'll give you that. Fox is a player. Harrison Barnes is a solid veteran. Then you got Victor, and obviously then you've got the young man Castle who played out of his mind last season. They've got a good starting 5. Their bench is okay.
It's a little shaky.
It's okay. It's okay. So that's what you got to see. And then Victor Wembanyama, 7 foot tall and 175 pounds. He's got to stay healthy.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
He's got to stay healthy, and that's every team. I get that, but I'm just concerned long term. I mean, you got this. You got the guy sitting out. He'll probably play 65 games.
Mm-hmm.
So he should be able to be healthy. I'm missing about 17 games. So maybe so. But what about this? What about the Knicks? I like what they did. They got Jordan Clarkson.
What about their head coach?
And I like Mike Brown.
I like Mike Brown.
I like Mike Brown.
Yeah.
But what I don't like is though that your roster didn't change. You didn't do overhaul, right?
What did I tell you though? What did I tell you? I didn't think
they're young.
Wise.
They're young and they're going to play more players. Mike Brown is a guy who's going to go 9 deep. He's going to go 9 deep. So
what did I
think about that?
I told you at the end of the season. I said I don't think there would be player moves. I didn't think McHale was going to get moved. I said maybe Josh Hart, but I said I didn't think the Knicks were going to make player moves. With
their top 7 stays in place.
Well, with them making this head coaching hire, and you look what Mike Brown did in San Antonio. I mean, Cleveland. He was the head coach in Cleveland when they got to the finals, but I think that was more of a LeBron doing more than anything else.
Well, at least you admit it. We all know that. At least you admit it, right?
But that Sacramento thing was all him. In my belief. I mean, shout out to the Aaron Fox as well. The only reason they lost in Game 7 was because Curry put up 50 points. So it's like, what can you do? I really like Mike Brown, and I think with this, I am confidently putting the Knicks at number 1 or number 2 in the East. I think I'm going to put Cleveland at 1 because I like the addition of Lonzo. I'm going to put Cleveland 1, New York 2, and then after that, I'd have to do some thinking. It's Orlando and Detroit 3 and 4. I don't know how serious Boston is about winning, though, Daryl.
I'm going to tell you this, man. Listen,
we've got about 10 minutes. We've got like 8 minutes left.
Serious. I got you. Okay, 8 minutes.
We can do another segment if needed. Okay. I don't bother me.
So here's what I'll tell you, right? Boston, I don't think they're going to take a crazy huge step back. They'll take a step back because you lose your best player. You're going to take a step like the Pacers will. But that team was built on depth, not on one player. This isn't the Paul George snapping his leg Pacers 2015.
Yeah.
That team has guys that they can depend on. Those guys got to bring their game up. And I don't see Boston winning 59 games. But I don't see an issue with them winning between 45 and 50 games this coming season.
Yeah.
Not at all. They've got a veteran core that's still there, and they've got Brad Stevens, who's probably one of the best minds in the front office in the NBA right
Well, I think Brad Stevens, I feel like his mind's more towards tanking. Not tanking, but I think if you
with
give
their
Brad
roster. They can't tank with that roster they got. They
well,
got too good a roster to tank.
I heard a rumor they're willing to move Anthony Simons like at
They've talked about moving Jalen Brown and blah blah blah. Let's see what happens if they do
I
that.
know.
Right?
I think it's going to come to the deadline, depending on where the record is and stuff like that. If they're 500 or a couple games above 500, I could see Stevens saying, "You know what? Imagine if they get a lottery pick, right? Imagine what they're going to flip for that lottery pick if they can get in the lottery." So
Yeah,
I think
very possible.
If Boston has a chance to get into the lottery at the deadline, I think Boston will make sure they're losing more games than they are winning. Whether they sit Jalen
I don't
Brown.
think Boston's a tank town. That
Not a
leaves it to
tank
teams who
town.
haven't
I'm
won,
not
right?
saying get a top pick in the draft. I'm just saying maybe 13, maybe 12, somewhere in that area of the
Yeah,
lottery.
you're not 13 to 12 if you're making the playoffs, man, like that, and then in a top five seed, you're not doing that. But I'll pivot one more. I'm going to tell you, this is my team, right? Of course, I love my Pacers, but this is my team next year in the East. I'm just
I
telling
already
you,
know who it is.
the Detroit Pistons, man.
There it is.
I'm telling you. Listen, in the words of my guy Scott Nichols, look out for them Pistons. I'm telling you, they got Karis LeVert, who I've always loved, from
Yeah.
Cleveland to Indiana to New Jersey, back there to Detroit. And then Duncan Robinson is a sharpshooter. He doesn't have to
Yeah.
be the tough guy because
They
they've got Isaiah
reloaded.
Stewart, they've got Jalen Duran to do the muscle, and also Marcus Sasser, right? Who's a really good player, a young guy, a younger guy, but he's a good player. And Asar Thompson, right? I'm telling you, Duncan Robinson's going to have a great year. He's going to get a lot of open shots. Cade Cunningham's going to find him. And I'm telling you, I don't hate. Only teams I hate are the New York Knicks and the New Jersey Nets. So other than that, I'm telling you, Detroit is the team. I'm telling you, pay attention to Detroit. Do not be shocked if they're a top three seed.
Well, I will counteract that with my Orlando Magic, and I like the addition of Tyus Jones to the roster as well to come off the bench and play point guard. It's a hole they needed to fill after moving Cole Anthony. Um, I like the starting five. I think the more and more this Desmond Bane trade has soaked, I've liked the idea of Bane on the roster, and then Anthony Black off the bench with Tyus Jones. You've got some other pieces there as well. I think Orlando is going to be fourth. I do think Detroit on paper is now probably just as good as New York and Cleveland. I think defensively, I honestly right now, I think Detroit matches better up with Cleveland than New York. I think offensively, New York is better. I think defensively, Detroit is better. But I think on the offense and defensive side of the ball, I think Detroit it could be close to Cleveland depending on the situation. I think, if Garland can't stay healthy, I think Detroit has a lot of offense, right? I think offensively, this is where they can be scary. I think New York offensively is a
And they're
bit.
tough. They're
Yeah, they're
tough.
tough. They are
You
tough.
got
Yeah.
Psycho. You got Psycho Sid on that team willing to snap at anybody, right?
Who's Psycho
So,
Sid?
so
Isaiah Stewart?
yeah.
Oh, you've
This
never
dude.
said that on the pod, so I was like, who are you
Oh man,
referring to?
I got to use a wrestling analogy,
That's a
man.
good reference. No, I love it. I love it. I
but
love it.
but I'm gonna tell you I'm looking at the Cleveland roster. Eh? I
Yeah.
mean, they still
They did
horrible in
let
the back in
Ty
the
Jerome's
defensive
gone.
backcourt,
Ty Jerome's gone.
and they still got Max Strus who can't guard an empty chair. He can't go.
Well, he won't start. He won't start. He'll
No,
come off the bench.
he shouldn't. No, he shouldn't start. But based on injuries, that's why he had to start last year. And I will see what they did to say, hey, Max, you're only going to get 15 minutes a game.
Mm.
I don't see that. He's making the same amount of money your guy you just said made that's making for the at 15 million. I forget who it was we just talked about. They still struggle in the backcourt defensively because and I understand Ball's a better defensive
Hmm.
player, but man, he's had those injuries, man.
I know. I know.
He's not the Ball of 5 years ago.
So real quick before we go, before we can you want to do another segment?
Yeah, I like
Okay.
this. Well,
Okay.
let's make this happen
I
because
want
I
to
got
get
some good stuff coming tomorrow too. So yeah, let's make it happen.
I want to get your thoughts on this because we're talking about all these teams in the East and we just forgot one, and it's the people that we kicked off the episode with. Where do the Bucks end up in all this?
Do you on this side or the other side?
Just in the East in general.
Okay. What we're saying is the Bucks. Here's what the Bucks did. They got rid of the twin, Brooke Lopez. They got rid of Dame Lillard for Myles Turner. You know what I think about Myles Turner. I think he should have retired as a Pacer. However, he, Bobby Portis, and the Greek Freak is it up
Yeah.
front for those guys. Good luck. Good luck. I just don't think Milwaukee. Milwaukee's a playing team in my opinion.
Oof. Oof. Yeah.
Who's your
Yeah.
point guard? Who's your point guard? Who's your lead guard?
Kevin Porter Jr.,
Like I said, who's your lead guard? Right.
Gary
So
Trent,
yeah, don't forget you got Kyle Kuzma still there rolling around at 22 million this
Kyle
year.
Cardio Kuzma. Let's talk. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it. All right.
Think about this. Pacers offered based off your 3-year 60, they offered Miles less money than Kyle Kuzma. Wouldn't you have left too?
Yeah. We didn't rip into the Pacers as much, but me and my stepdad got into it so much about it. I don't really have any. I don't even have the energy to rip into the organization
I'll hear him for a couple
now.
seconds, but I don't want to drown my sorrows in that.
Me and my stepdad we probably argued about it for an hour. Like I don't really have any more to say on it. Now he is going to come on. I'm bringing him on to talk about that at some point, and then I'll have the energy again. But we need to get him on to discuss that as a whole. But folks, when we come back,
don't forget Milwaukee got Gary Harris.
Okay, that's it. Okay, when we come back, we are going to dive into more on the West and the East. I want to get back to talking about the Clippers because I don't buy them. So when we come back,
we got to cover. Let's make it happen.
When we come back, we'll be talking more about NBA free agency right here on the Game Time Podcast.